I don't love all the work. I love meeting the next version of me. I love more self-discovery. I love expanding my being. I'm addicted to the expansion of me.
You know, we're both baseball guys. And I remember making literally $1,200 a month. That made me who I am today. When you're built in comfort, you don't really flex your muscles and grow.
When most people get a little bit of being somebody, they lose that wanting to be the next somebody. Don't be someone who just lives unconsciously, where you just respond and react all of your life. Live as a conscious human being. Choose. How would I like to live? What emotions do I want to experience? Begin to pursue them intentionally. There's a massive power in your life of just intentional pursuit of something. Intentional pursuit of a goal, intentional pursuit of an outcome, intentional pursuit of a business, and also intentional pursuit of our emotions. When you see a really rich family or a really happy family, just remember this. Somewhere back in their lineage, they weren't rich or they weren't happy until one thing happens. The one shows up. In my freaking family, I'm the one. I took all the late nights, all the hits, all the stress, all the worry. I'm the one who grew. I'm the one who went to the events. I'm the one who read the books. I'm the one who did the meeting after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting. I'm the one who did all that stuff. I'm the one who worked on myself. And now, you know what? I do have a rich family and I do have a happy family. And if you're listening to this, maybe you were born to be the one.
What's up, Wealth Builders? Today, I'm obviously not in the studio. I'm actually at a very big person's house out here in Laguna Beach. I've got none other than Ed Mylett with his dog, Rose. What's up, man?
Great to have you here. Thanks for coming to the house. I appreciate that. I don't know how long Rose will last, but we'll give it a shot with her here too.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful home, man.
Thank you.
I think you might be selling it soon. You moving? You moving?
I think I'm going to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you announced that?
I have not announced that.
Okay, so that's breaking news. Why are you leaving Cali?
Taxes is number one.
Yeah.
But two, it's changing here a little bit. I love California. I think it's the most beautiful state, but it's changing a little bit. You know, growing problems here. Doesn't seem like it's getting any better much faster. And I've done it. I've lived here most of my life. I think I want a new experience, new place, and I've always loved Florida. And so I'm excited about going, man. I'm going to miss it here, but, you know, I'll make friends there too.
Why not Vegas?
I looked there, as you know, and I really, really liked it. There's one particular club that I've looked at that you know about that I really loved. I think probably more than anything, it's keeping the ocean in my backyard.
Yeah.
I want to keep the ocean there. I've got that island I have off the coast of Portland, Maine. There's ocean there. Something about when I was young, when I pictured getting wealthy, I lived on the ocean. Because my wife and I, when we were little, I lived in the, not the hood, but I lived in inland here. But we would come down to these beaches when I was
Inland
a kid.
Empire?
Inland Empire. I was from IE, from the 909. And,
I remember I played minor league ball there.
So you know.
Yep.
It's the best. It's the best.
The 66ers.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I know exactly where you were.
Yep.
So I would come down here on weekends and stuff with my then girlfriend and say, hey, someday I'm going to get us a beach house. Someday. And that girlfriend ended up becoming my wife.
Nice.
And so it's just been always a dream to live by the water. Something about it, I don't know, for me, like my blood pressure drops here near the water.
Right.
You know, I just feel better. So I love the desert. I've got a desert house already, but Vegas was next on my list. You living in a good spot.
Yeah. No, I love Vegas. It just seems like all the SoCal guys inevitably move to Vegas. So, yeah, Florida would be the other one.
Well,
some move to Texas.
The cool part about Vegas is you can get back to LA quickly.
It's easy.
Like you drove here today because there's some weather issues, right? So that's the one thing. It's proximity to everything else. You can fly everywhere out of Vegas too. If you don't fly private, if you fly commercial, you can get everywhere.
Yeah.
Just I got to stay by the water.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you, man. You know what's interesting to me? I mean, and we'll get into your story and just all the crazy things you've done, but like you've used a business and insurance to then like buy a lot of real estate. You know, you were telling me you own 3 beach houses over here, you know, that are going to make you 9 figures. Then you got the island you just mentioned in Maine that, you know, is going to be a 9-figure development. Is real estate something like, is that where you're putting the majority of your money?
Yeah, really. So the way I tried to build my life was I wanted to build cash flow machines that I could pump into real estate.
Okay.
And then ultimately real estate would become that cash flow machine. So I've always loved real estate. In fact, way before business, like the first personal development seminars I went to like Robert Allen's How to Buy Real Estate Nothing Down when I was in college. And I bought my first property in college.
Oh, wow.
And then online, there was this dude named Carlton Sheets
that
had this program. And so I was already early in my life consuming content. And that was like the liaison into personal development. Because at those meetings, they're like, well, you're never going to outgrow your identity. I'm like, what's an identity? And so that's when I learned about Tony Robbins and all the things ultimately that I ended up being, you know, kind of a dominant force in was because of real estate. So I love the deal. I love negotiating. I love the remodel. I love the development of real estate. I love the ownership. every part of real estate has just always been a passion of mine.
Yeah. No, I think too, with what you're doing in real estate, it's like you're buying all these trophy properties that are just like, that's what makes real estate fun. Like, I mean, it's cool to, I started my career flipping houses and, that's how I built my wealth early on.
Yes.
But when I've looked at like the really wealthy people like yourself, even like Cardone, who's buying all this stuff, they're buying like trophy assets.
Sure. Well, A-Rod and I have talked about this. Alex Rodriguez and I have talked about it. One of the things that Buffett told him early on is if you're going to buy real estate, try to buy, trophy assets if you can. That's easy to say once you have some money.
Yeah.
But everything I've always done, I've tried to find stuff that was niche, that was unique, that I thought there would always be a market for. So like they're not making any more oceanfront real estate, right? So long-term, I saw a post you made the other day. I'm watching your stuff lately and you were talking about just in general, if you could buy a house a year for 20 years, that you're probably gonna end up pretty wealthy. And the simple approaches to real estate. The cool thing about real estate overall, it's a level playing field to some extent that anybody can get involved in that business. And if they stay in it for 15 or 20 years, there's a high probability you're gonna have some favorable results because you're gonna ride out all the market stuff. And so, yeah, the trophy assets now, I love buying stuff that everybody that has a lot of money wants.
Yeah.
And, obviously this is one of them, this beach, access to the beach. I look at those things now and I kind of now, after all these years, sort of have a pretty good eye of what I think is going to appreciate, which is I want stuff that's almost market insulated now. Yeah. I'm not going to try to forecast whether we're in a recession or not when I'm buying my real estate, not my residential real estate anymore. So this house, it'll be okay if someone will want this place no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, it's at that level of wealth where it's like those people are unaffected.
They're not financing anything.
Yeah.
This is all cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that you're going into that as your real estate strategy, which I think is amazing. And, tell me about the island. You bought an island.
Bought an island I've always, a couple things. One, my dream was always to own an island. I don't know why, just seeing Richard Branson or whoever is like, I want to own an island someday. And then I'm also from New England originally. So I was born in Weymouth, Massachusetts. So I'm a Boston dude. So the combination of both approached me and I've wanted to develop something. I've always wanted to build my own golf course. Yeah. It's sort of this one thing, like at this stage of my life, I wanted to do something that's like, oh, wow. Yeah. And I wanted to see if I could maybe develop the best property in the United States. Yep. And I think I'm doing that. Once it's done, I'll sort of reveal it online, but it's like a dream fulfilled. I will tell you, like most dreams, it's more expensive than what you originally think, like a lot more expensive than you think. But it's one of those things where when I boat up to it, literally, brother, like every single time I just go, I can't freaking believe this. Like I legit cannot believe I own this place. Yeah. And even this morning, like Mondays are our planning calls with the contractor and the amount of, and I'm paying cash. Crazy. So, I mean, everything I wrote cash for the island, I'm writing cash for all the construction. It sort of trips people out. Even the contracts, like, so when they gave me the bid originally, it was a lot, you know, like lots and lots. And they're like, so how are you financing? I was like, I'm not financing anything. I'm writing you checks.
Why don't you finance anything?
This is an interesting topic. Yeah. So first off, the Bible says, owe no man nothing. So I think there's some validity to that book. Yeah. In my life, it has the most validity, right? Yep. I think you need to know the type of entrepreneur you are. Okay. I'm not a risk tolerant entrepreneur. So someone like Grant, who's been on your show before, he doesn't have any problem carrying a bunch of debt. He knows his emotional makeup. Yeah. I do. I worry about it. I stress about it. So, by the way, I think leveraging debt on appreciating assets is a brilliant strategy. And I might even be wealthier if I had done more. Now, I have done quite a bit of it. Okay. But in my personal business life, so not an apartment building, not something that's going to generate income, then I want to be able to make sure I can write a check for it if I'm going to buy it anymore. Right. In my wealth accumulation part of my life, I will use debt to grow wealth. And so I think that's a good rule of thumb to go long-term in your life. Like if you're going to buy something in your personal life that's, you're not using to build wealth necessarily as its primary reason, you ought to be able to write a check for it, or I wouldn't do it yet. Right. In your business building life, your wealth accumulation life, your residential, your commercial real estate, your apartment building stuff, then you should use debt, especially the rates are still low. People are like, oh, rates are so high now. Well, I've been around when rates were 18%. Rates are still really inexpensive. Money is still pretty cheap as of the time we're recording this. So leveraging in that way on an appreciating asset is really, really smart. Yeah, no, I agree. What's funny is, I interviewed Patrick Bet-David, who you guys started in business and the same company, everything. He's done wonderful for himself.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the insurance biz later, but one thing I interviewed him about a year ago, and he was super like pessimistic about the real estate market. He's like, it's going to crash, all this stuff. And I was like, Patrick, it's not. There's no way. I was like, there's no inventory. People are going to hold to their rates. They got 3% interest. They're not selling. And it turned out, that's what happened in the single family space.
Yeah, so far.
But one thing that was clear to me was he's an insurance guy. Like he's just by nature going to be risk averse. And then you being an insurance guy as well, saying, hey, I don't have that risk profile. Do you think that draws you to the industry?
That's interesting. I don't think so, actually. I don't think there's a correlation there. And by the way, like I've had a lot of very smart people on my show, Tony Robbins included, who said, hey, it might be an 8-year winter.
Yeah.
And maybe it still could be. I don't know. I think I'm just, my dad was a banker.
Okay.
And so I think that's why my risk tolerance is the way that it is. I'd always hear stories from my dad of guys who were rich that went broke.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of being broke still, no matter how much money I've ever accumulated. I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the insurance thing. I actually think it's just like my temperament is I'm a worrier.
Yeah.
I have this deep obligation to keep my word and pay my bills. And when I had gone broke a couple times, the idea of not paying somebody I owed money to just, oh my gosh, man, just crushed me. So I just kind of know the stage of my life, man, like I'm using debt like crazy to build my wealth, but in my private life, you're not going to take my homes from me.
Right.
And I also, man, you're young, but those little babies of yours, you just had one last week.
Yeah.
When they get older, you start thinking about what you're going to leave them.
Right.
And I don't want to leave them debt. I want to leave them assets and wealth and not a burden to pay bills on residential real estate that I have. Now, if they're going to pay bills on apartment buildings, that's great. Those cash flow.
Yeah.
But if they're going to pay it on some house I've got, heck no, I want to be able to pay those things off for them.
Entrepreneurs, if you want to grow your business, there is no better investment than your own personal brand. The smartest thing I ever did was start creating content and investing into my brand. Ever since then, we've been able to triple our business. I've been able to raise more money than ever to continue buying more real estate. And it's all because I create content just like this. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Ryan, how am I supposed to do it? I don't know where to start. I don't know who's going to edit it. I don't know even what kind of setup or camera or anything to do. Well, here's the thing. We can help you with all of that at Pineda Media. We have a podcast checklist that you can actually get for free at pinedamedia.com that's going to go over everything you need on starting a podcast. But to make matters even better, we'll actually edit your podcast for you. We'll repurpose it into short form clips like you see on my Instagram and my TikTok so that people will start seeing those clips and watching your podcast and in turn being customers or investors in your business. So if you want the one-stop solution where you can get everything done for you, plus get the education you need to grow your personal brand, then you need to go to pinedamedia.com and book a free call with our team. You can also go get that free podcast checklist and that training program absolutely free by just going there. So go check it out. Speaking of kids, I think this is a good topic. I just had a third kid.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah. My kids are young. They're under 5 right now. But one thing I've been thinking about is how do you handle wealth to them, right?
Yeah.
Because how do you build character and, adversity and perseverance and all those things if like they don't grow up the way we had to grow up?
Bro, number one hard thing as a parent. So I did a lot of posts about this lately. Here's why it's such a big deal to me. I almost know, like if I'm on a golf course, I don't know if you do this yet, but I made a rich dude. I almost can tell within 20 minutes of whether they made it themselves or whether
1000%.
You know what I mean? There's a softness to someone who inherited their money or a lack of grit or something.
I kind of look down on them and I know I shouldn't.
Me too. And I don't know why I do because my kids are that way. And it's not their fault they were born where they were born, right? I do too. And I've really tried to guard myself like this guy, because I made my money. Yeah. So what I have done, I remember very vividly, brother, my daughter came out of like 2nd grade and she gets in the car. My son was in the back. She goes, Daddy, are we rich? I went, what, sweetheart? What do you mean? She goes, all the kids at school are saying that we're rich. And I said, well, I don't know. How much money do you have? She goes, I have like $6. I go, well, you're definitely not rich, sweetheart. I don't know if Daddy is, but you don't have any money. She goes, okay. And all their lives, I've tried to, a couple things. One, they've seen me work still.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the building phase of my life. So they've attached hard work with making money. Right. They see 18-hour days. They see my travel. In fact, if you asked my kids, I've had them on my podcast. I've had both my kids on my podcast. And one thing I'm proud of, I'm not a perfect dad by any means. I've screwed up a lot of things as a dad. But if you said to my children, who is the hardest working human being you have ever met in your entire life? They would say my dad. So they've correlated work with getting it. That's number one. Number two, I constantly remind them that someone's value is not attached to their net worth, that we're no better than anybody else or anything like that, that we're fortunate that we have what we have. And then the other thing is I've made it really clear to them, man, they got to get their own.
Yeah.
So both of them had jobs, both of them bought their own cars. I fly private. They flew private with me. Right now I don't have a jet. This sounds really bad, but like I fly in first class, they sit in the back of the airplane. And I have videos of them walking to the back of the airplane. They get it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that neither one of my kids lead with their money. In fact, my daughter, we live here on the beach. My daughter, I go, babe, where are you going? She goes, I'm going to the beach. I go here. She goes, I don't want them to know we live here, Daddy. She would meet kids at other beaches. And so neither one of them are attached their value or worth to it. Same time, my son has told me, he goes, Dad, I need to be rich. And I'm like, why? And he goes, well, look how I grew up, man. If I have a life where I can't get access to things and do things and help people and do cool things, man, I'll feel like I haven't won in life. And I'm like, Max, I just want you to find something you're freaking great at that fills your heart, that you love doing it. But if it'll produce a bunch of wealth, that's a bonus. You should do it too.
Right.
So I've just made them really understand that there's a work to it, that there's not a value to you as a person because you've got more cheddar. And then I've made them earn their own stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really aggressive about that. Like I'm intense about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. So, I mean, right now, obviously they're in their earning phase, they're learning, they're doing all these things. How does it work, once you're gone, how does it work with, I guess, helping them out at least somewhat, right? Because I'm sure you guys went on all the amazing vacations and all those things. But I see your point of like, hey, you're going to get your own job and you're going to go build your own thing.
Yeah, I don't want to take from them the part of life that matters the most, which is the chase, which is the pursuit, which is the journey, which is the worry, which is the hunger, which is the late nights, which is the anxiety. I don't want to cheat them. My adult rich friends, like the really rich ones, their biggest problem in their life, if they have one, is their screwed up adult children, whom they raised with too much comfort. There's something to needing to want to prove yourself, to struggle, that matters. And so what you can do, which I'm in the process of redoing, is my trust is worked in such a way that they will get access to some of my wealth, but it's staged over time. One thing I do want them to have in their life that I've worked hard for is I want both of my children to have a safe, stable home that they can raise my grandbabies in someday when they have them. So I am going to make sure they have that. Beyond that, it's going to trickle out over time. And they're not going to get a bunch of it. The worst thing I could ever do is give them each $100 million.
Just give them this massive windfall.
No way, man. No way will I do that to my kids. And I don't think they want it at this stage based on the way they were raised. So there's a way that you can write your trust that dictates when and how and where they get money, and also things they have to achieve in order to get the money. And so mine is beginning to be rewritten that way.
I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
No, that's awesome. So, speaking of grinding and like all the adversity, while you were talking, it was making me think, like, for me, we're both baseball guys.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I played 8 years in the minors and, independent baseball and everything. And I remember literally taking hundreds of bus rides, staying in motels and making literally $1,200 a month doing that. And I'm like, that made me who I am today. Where I'm like, dude, I'll go sit and coach. I don't really care.
Who cares?
Coach is great compared to what I was doing. And so it's just like when you're built in comfort, you don't really flex your muscles and grow and all that.
I'm going to tell you something. This sounds weird. I'm not comfortable in comfort to this day. I'm comfortable in discomfort. I still have a hard time being comfortable. Like if we go on vacation, man, it takes me 3 or 4 days before I even unwind. And then maybe I got 1 or 2 good days. And then I feel like shit, I need to get back to work. And then, so I'm 52. I get me now. I had this illusion or delusion that I'd be a dude who could sit on a beach all day.
No.
And that's what I would do. I just can't. Like, I love work. My work is my sport. It's my hobby. I wasn't as good as you, so I didn't have 8 years of minor league ball. I got a little brief taste. I got relieved of my duties early on, but I love how I feel when I end a day that I busted my ass and good stuff happened. I don't like how I feel. That doesn't mean, man, look, I've had plenty of trips to Cabo where I've had a lot of tequila and a lot of golf and I didn't do a lot of work. I have done that, but I find my tolerance level for doing it is much shorter. Like I'll go 2-3 days. I'm ready to get back. I'm gonna tell you something crazy. I'm 52. I can go anywhere in the world I want to. I have never been on a vacation longer than a week And on that 1 week vacation, I have never not worked some of the days.
Right.
So like, okay, this is going to trip people out. Like, I've never been to Europe.
I haven't either.
I haven't been. And to be honest with you, I had a bunch of trips scheduled and I canceled them when I was younger because stuff at work came up. And I don't really feel like I missed anything, to be really honest with you.
We have a lot of commonality because we go to Cabo all the time. So I love going there.
Why do you love to go? Because you can get there in a couple hours from where we live.
It's the easiest freaking trip ever.
Exactly.
It was the only place open during COVID. It was great.
Yep.
So I went to Cabo. I go to Cabo a few times a year.
Me too.
And, you know, I'm going there because I like sitting on the beach for a few days.
Yes.
I like the service, the food, the weather. Everything's great. But I've never been to Europe because like I don't want to walk the streets and like, I don't know, see history.
I don't care.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm not a sightseer.
Yeah.
I'm not, God, I'm going to get a lot of hate on. I just don't care. Like I don't want to fly 12 or 15 hours when I can just fly. Like I'm doing a speaking tour in, I think it's Dubai in October. Number one thing, I'm like, oh, the flight over.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm going there it's a good example. My team's playing on the tub. They're like, well, you talk on this day. And I'm like, okay, so it's a day change. I go, get me in there, get me to do the talk. They're like, no, it's like 20 hours of flying. I go, I don't care. I don't want to see it. I want to get back. I live on vacation.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I would say to someone who's relating to what I'm saying or wonders, I've built homes where I want to actually vacation and live.
Yeah.
So my vacation is 5 o'clock tonight. When you're gone, I'll be smoking a cigar out there on my balcony with a nice 1942 in the glass. And I'm on damn vacation.
Yeah.
I live oceanfront, man. I got an island. I don't need to go to your version of vacation. And sometimes I go to Cabo. Even Cabo, I'm like, I just left there. It's right there.
Yeah.
That's Cabo. It's a little warmer. Like what's better there is like the food's better. Like the service
it's just
is better.
different. That's
and you should change your place so it recharges you to get back. And I don't want to steal the dream from people that want to be like travel the world. I don't even like packing when I travel. Like my stuff's in my closet, man. I just go grab my shorts and go down to the beach. Like, so I actually did this early on. I went to a seminar, a guy spoke, I'll never forget this. And he's like, I live on vacation. I go, that's the version I want. I don't be packing bags. Here's the other thing, like no one's going to relate to this, but like I'm introverted. I like it quiet. I don't even like hotels.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't like the noise other people make. I like being in my damn house. I worked real hard to get this house here and to get the other houses. So like something in my body goes, let's get back and accomplish something. Let's expand. Let's do something. I almost feel like I'm wasting away when I'm on vacation. Yeah. Maybe that'll change when I'm 70. I don't know. But like I thought by the time I was 50, I'll be like, this will be out of my system. It's just not. I don't love all the work.
Yeah.
I love meeting the next version of me. I love more self-discovery. I love expanding my being. Like I'm addicted to that. I'm not a big drinker. I probably smoke too many cigars, but like I'm addicted to the expansion of me.
Yeah.
Of my soul, of my spirit, of my being, of trying to understand myself and God and life and human beings better and make a bigger impact. And, you know, like that's my addiction.
Yeah. No, I've never heard that. I like to live on vacation. Like that's.
Yeah, I do. I live on vacation.
And you see that, like, I don't have, $30 million plus house on the beach.
Well on your way. You're ahead of where I was. Yeah.
Well, with me, even at the current stage, a house that's 10% of this, right?
I'm sure it's more than that.
I don't like to go leave that because we have everything. Like it's a great house.
Yes.
And so if I'm going to go stay at a hotel, I'm like, this has to be an upgrade.
Correct.
Over what I have over here. Because why would I go?
Yes.
So that's basically your point.
One thing that's changed me the last 5 years, I have become a little bit snooty in like when I travel, where I stay. So it used to be like, I tell my staff, get me a good deal on something.
Yeah.
Even when I was rich, I was like, give me a good deal.
Yeah.
And then a couple of those deals weren't really good deals, once I got there. So now when I do travel, I go, what's the best place?
Yeah.
And I want to stay at the best place with the best service.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I've learned to value service as like, my experiences have grown. Because before, I mean, look, I grew up poor as a minor league baseball player. So like even eating Chipotle was like a sacrifice.
Yes.
Like, dude, man, I either make rice and chicken and it costs me $2 or I eat Chipotle. It's 5 times. That was the decision.
Top ramen days too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I remember the moment I didn't have to worry about paying for Chipotle anymore. It was like, wow, this is crazy. And then you start to, try new things. And then we started going out to dinner for $100 and you're like, wow, this is crazy.
Yes.
Then you go to a $500 dinner with your wife and you're like, dude, I understand why people pay so much for this. It's not that the food is just so much it's the service, it's the ambiance, it's all of those things.
Bro, it's so funny that you say this. I've never said this in any interview. You're a good interviewer. I still have these moments like, well, I bought the island or whatever, right? You go, did that wow you? Yeah, it did. But let me tell you, like, I still have these flashes where, like, I'll be at dinner with my family. The bill's $280 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm paying for this and I'm not worrying about it. Like, those things I used to worry about so much, or like, it's amazing to me how, not simple, that's more than simple, but like, those things still give me great pride and joy compared to like even the big things. Cause I went so long as an entrepreneur. I can tell you how I lived, man. I had to rent an office and I was looking for a new office when I had my financial company. And I found this office building that was on the roof above a Taco Bell. And the reason I rented this building, I signed a 3-year lease, is I figured out I go down there and eat Taco Bell every day, and I can refill this Mountain Dew cup here every day and not pay for a new soda. That's literally how my stupid brain thinks. So I tell you, I'm risk adverse, but like, I literally kept my office for 3 years because I could go get 59-cent bean burritos every single day. It wasn't good for my fitness back in the day.
Yeah.
But anything I could do to conserve or save money or pump more back into my business. And so now when I do go to Mastro's for dinner, it's not the best place in the world, but it's good. I'm like, I'm taking my family to dinner, and I'm not worried about this bill. This is a great feeling. That stuff is what made all the long nights, all the rejection, all the drives, all the dark houses where people no-showed, all the clients who changed their mind, all the critics. You'd be surprised at what made it worth it. This makes it worth it, but this more stuff like that makes it worth it to me. Like, my kids went to private school, man. I was able to educate my kids the way I wanted to. That made it worth it. I took those arrows so my kids could go to a safe school where there's a security guard in the front and they don't have to worry about, like, that stuff is, here's the biggest thing about making your dreams come true. And I've just stumbled into this lately. I've been talking about it more because I've had the blessing of this happening. You have these dreams you want to make happen, live on the ocean or pay off your mom's house or whatever it might be that's your dream, or start your foundation, buy your Lambo, whatever your thing is. That is cool. And when you make your dreams come true, it blows your mind. What no one tells you about busting your ass and making your dreams come true is all of the dreams of the people you love that you will make come true, that you don't even know they have, and that they don't even know they have. I'll give you a perfect example. I worked really hard many years when I didn't have kids. Little did I know, when I was working till midnight, get up at 4 the next morning or whatever I had to go through, I was actually someday making the dreams come true of children that weren't even born yet. Same with you, man. When you've been most of your sacrifice, a lot of it happened before these babies were even born. The coolest thing about getting wealthy and making your dreams come true isn't what you think it is. It's the dreams you will make a reality for the people that you love in your life, some of which aren't even born yet, that you don't even know they have. That's the secret part of becoming somebody in your life that no one tells you. You can go to any summer and go, man, it's so good to buy a Lambo. It's so cool to have a jet. It's great to do. What they never tell you is there'll be literally millions of micro dreams of the people that you love. Some of you right now that are watching this or listening to this are working your ass off to make the dreams come true of somebody you have not even met yet in your life and may not meet for another decade. Yet you will do things for them because of what you're doing right now that you can't even imagine. That's the biggest part.
Yeah. Wealth Builders, if you are trying to grow your real estate investing business, then you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. If you have no idea what Wealthy Investor is, it is our coaching program and community. We have helped thousands of students worldwide grow their business. Now, it doesn't matter if you're just getting started and you're trying to get that first deal. We can help you do that. If you're trying to scale your business and go from a few deals a year to a few deals a month, or even 7 figures a year, we can help you do that too. In fact, last year alone, we had over 30 students do over $1 million in revenue. And I'd love for you to be the next one. So it's pretty simple. If you're trying to grow your business and wholesale more homes or flip more homes or buy more rental properties, then you need to go to wealthyinvestor.com and book a free call with our team. It's super simple. We'll go on a strategy call with you and figure out how we can help you grow according to your needs. So all you got to do is go to wealthyinvestor.com, book the free call with the team, and we'll see you there. For me, I was never a big material guy. Like, I just started buying watches 2 years ago, you know, like I flew first class for the first time 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so I never cared about it. And the more that I've just gone through life and, you know, bought nice things, you're like, I mean, the watch was cool, but it's gone. After you buy it, you're like, all right, whatever. The experiences is really what matters. And so, you know, I was talking to actually my team on the drive up here. it's like, man, this drive up here is an experience, like what we're doing. We were talking about my daughter had 2 crazy parties, just like over the top that, she's 2-3 years old. She's not ever going to remember this. And I was like, it's not even about her or that. It's about the other kids who will never get to experience something that crazy.
Can I tell you one thing about your kids though? I'm going to give you some insight on this. Her soul remembers it. And her emotional imprinting remembers it. So when you're giving your kids, when they're really young like this, these blessings of these incredible experiences, although they won't remember the actual experience when they're 25 years old, there's an emotional imprinting that creates patterns where she'll go back and pursue those same emotions of joy and beauty and bliss in her life unknowingly. When a child is raised without those experiences and without those things, with trauma or stress, they seek those out as they get older. So these things you do for your kids, they don't have to be pool parties or money, but these emotional things that our children feel when they're young, they go seek those as patterns when they get older. So for me, when I was young, because my dad was a drinker, my emotional pattern was to worry, was to be afraid, was to be scared, was to even be angry. And so as I became an older man, even though conditions of my life changed, my emotional imprinting didn't change. I still was worried. I was still scared. I was still angry. So these things you do, those of you listening to this for your children, now that they're young, they may not remember them, but you're creating emotional imprinting where they will pursue those patterns and those experiences and those people in their lives that deliver them for them, as opposed to the ones that harm them and hurt them.
How does somebody break free of that? Because so many people are listening. They had no control over that.
Yes.
It's how they were raised.
Yep.
And, you got the majority of the world who's like, well, my circumstance sucked.
Yes.
There's nothing I can do.
Yep.
And then you have people who overcome it. How do they do it?
First is being aware of it. That's why it's so important they listen to what I just said. You just go, that explains me.
Yeah.
That explains me. I got it. Okay, so there's some imprinting that was done. So the first is when there's an emotion or a thought and you become aware of it, it loses most of its power over you. So like for me, like I love to create chaos in my life. No matter what's going on, I got to mix in some chaos. And I used to say to people, man, I'm so good under stress and chaos. But what started to happen was I'd produce it unnecessarily. And I'm like, why the hell do I do this? Because I grew up in so much of it. And so once I was aware of it, now when I start to do it, I go, I'm doing this stupid shit again.
You're just,
Here
now
I go.
You're aware every
Here
time.
I go. So the one is the awareness. And then 2 is like beginning to live consciously. Don't be someone who just lives unconsciously, where you just respond and react all of your life. Live as a conscious human being. Choose. How would I like to live? What emotions do I want to experience? Begin to pursue them intentionally. There's a massive power in your life of just intentional pursuit of something, intentional pursuit of a goal, intentional pursuit of an outcome, intentional pursuit of a business, and also intentional pursuit of our emotions. What do? We set up goals every year. You teach it, I teach it. What are the things you want to get done? I want the jet. I want 100 grand saved. I want to make 2 million. I want to scale my business by 20%. I want to get to 8% body fat. Whatever these things are, we write up down every year. Do you really want those things, or do you want how they will make you feel? 8% body fat, I'd be shredded. How would I feel, right? Dream relationship, how would I feel? 100 grand in the bank, $1 million in the bank, whatever it is, how would I feel? So although those are important things, how come we never get intentional about the actual feeling? What if you worked on both at the same time? Because what I've found out is I've pursued the feelings and the emotions. It's been easier to produce the material things. Instead of, I did it the hard way before. I'm going to get all the stuff and then I'll feel better. What I started to do as I got a little bit older is I want all the stuff and the things and the accomplishments and the accumulations, but I also want the feeling. So I'm going to intentionally pursue both of them. Now you're a pretty powerful human being. Right. You're aware over your crap. You pursue the emotions you want on a daily basis, because we get what we most obsess over in our lives. So if they become your obsessive thoughts, you begin to get them. And I found this, man, I'm going through a relatively stressful time right now. It's sort of tripping me out a little bit. I'm actually pretty blissful right now. I've actually had a great deal of peace through this season of my life. Kind of surprising myself right now. Normally, the normal me, I don't even find peace when it's good.
Yeah.
I don't even find peace when I'm making millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm finding peace during a trying time. Ooh, this is pretty, maybe I've grown a little bit here. Maybe this stuff I teach actually works, right? Maybe it works. And so I would just tell you to become more intentional about what you want to feel and not just what you want to accumulate. Do both.
Yeah. And this is also, for me, one of the big reasons why I wanted to have you come speak at WealthCon.
Thank you.
Because you bring to the table this emotional, psychological, all these things that a lot of people don't talk about, right? Like I'll come up on stage and I'll teach tactical things that I think people could do, because I think very logically.
Yeah, you do.
And to see guys like you explain why we do what we do, I'm like, dude, we got to get Ed.
Thank you.
You know, first off, I just want to say I'm appreciative that you're coming to speak. And
can I tell you why I'm coming?
Yeah,
it's you. So I've been blessed, man. The last 10 years, I have an agent, but they don't book my speaking. I'm word of mouth speaking, and fortunate. I get hundreds of requests a year, and I do about 80. And now I'm pretty scrutinizing about who I vet. And one of the things I try to do is I want to show up in places where I think, here's how I term it to my team: find me people who's a stock I would buy if they were a stock. So, and in your case, I've watched your stuff over time. I've watched how you've handled. I've actually watched how you've grown on camera too. And if you were a stock, I'd buy you, because I think you're rising. And so if I can come and sprinkle a little whatever on that and what you're doing in your community, what you're doing here on the show, I want to be able to do that, because I didn't get into this space. It's happened, but I didn't mean it to. I'm not the king. I don't mean it that way. But like, I didn't get in this space to be the king.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to be the king and queen maker. I wanted to build a platform big enough that I could say, this person's awesome too. This person, listen to this person. Almost create a space where I could elevate other people. And that's what I do on my podcast, is I'm real careful of who sits in that seat, because I know they're going to get millions of eyeballs and ears on them. And so when I come to speak somewhere, man, like, you were the main reason that I decided to do it. And I've also just heard such good things about you from our mutual friends. And then today off camera, some personal stuff you shared with me. I'm like, this is one of my dudes now.
I appreciate that.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I really do. For anyone who wants to come, it's October 3rd to the 6th in Vegas. You can go to wealthcon.org and get your tickets. Actually, too, one thing that I'm also really appreciative you're doing is the dinner that we're going to have with, I think, 10 people only.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, because when you go speak to these big crowds, you know, you always leave there wishing you could have connected more personally and intimately with a small group where they can ask you things and feel your spirit, and you don't just get sound bites, but you're in this.
Yep.
And so that'll be what that dinner will be, you know, affording certain people to have, and for me to have. I learn a lot of these things too, man. When I go, I get fed as much as I feed people at these events. There's always an experience I have that I cherish, or I get a letter afterwards, or a conversation I have. So I'm selfish doing it for me too. No,
I'm excited for that. So anybody, you know, we have a new level of ticket that was specifically because Ed was willing to do that. So I think it's 10 people only. We've already sold a bunch of them. So check it out.
Come join us.
Yeah, we'd love it. So to kind of go into the entrepreneur side of things, you know, I know just reading about your story and seeing you speak many times, with me as an attendee, by the way, you know, the first time I ever saw you speak was at GrowthCon in 2018 in Vegas. That was my first ever entrepreneur event. And I remember they introduced you back then as like the fastest growing entrepreneur online. I don't know why I remember it, but I sat there thinking, okay, what's this guy do? And you started to tell the story of, you know, how you used to be a baseball player. And I was like, oh, dude, I like this guy. I just literally retired.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, man, dude, I'm trying to think, how am I going to build my entrepreneur career? And you started to tell this story, and, you know, it was like, man, dude, baseball didn't work out for him, but, you know, entrepreneurship did. So tell me a little bit about that. What was the transition like going from an athlete to this?
Really hard.
Yeah.
As you know, like that. For anybody, when your first dream ends, if it doesn't work out, that's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
That first dream could be your first business and it didn't work. Your first marriage or relationship. For me, all I ever wanted to be, probably like you, was a baseball player. I never even really considered doing anything else. I thought I'd be a baseball player who buys real estate.
Yeah.
But like as a little boy, I mean, I was introduced as a baseball player. Eddie plays baseball. So I remember my last game. And I remember like slow motion. I remember the last play was a pop-up to shortstop. I was playing center field. And I knew it was my last game.
This was at Pacific?
No, it was after that.
Okay.
It was after that. But I remember running in going, this is over. All those years, all those practices, all the Little League games, all the early BP, all the stretching, all the weight room, all the hitting lessons, man, all the times in the locker room, all the bus rides.
Yeah.
All the at-bats, you know, all the conversations at first base when there's a pitching change with the other guy, you know, it's over. My whole identity was baseball. And what I learned that lesson was, my identity is not what I do, it's who I am as a man. But when I reflected on baseball, there were some truths I had to accept. I didn't work as hard as I could. There was another gear. And I didn't work as hard as I could because I didn't believe in myself to the extent that I needed to. Once the level got higher, every time the level got higher, I more and more doubted myself Do I really belong here? Am I really good enough? That guy's bigger, faster, stronger than me. They got more confidence than me. They got a better coach than me. They got better gear than me. And the truth is, there was a correlation between this it was microscopic lack of belief. You wouldn't know if you met me. I was cocky.
Yeah.
I worked hard. I was a confident person. It was microscopic inside doubt. And that doubt caused me to hold back just a millimeter. You would never know it because I outworked almost everybody else.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I was capable of. And if I'm being honest, that started when I went into business too. And I finally went, I'm not going to end my damn life with these microscopic doubts. No one else knows I have them, but I know I have them.
Yeah.
I got to work on me. I'm going to outwork every MFer ever.
Yeah.
When this is over, if I fail, it will not be because I got outworked. I will outwork everybody. I will outgrow. I will outread. I will outprepare.
Yeah.
And I am going to work on me,
Yeah.
like the real me, like that microscopic doubt that's a secret that my wife didn't even know I had. I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to improve me. And I became addicted to improving me and being honest with myself and outworking everybody. And so my keys in business have been those things. It's like my confidence comes because I already know something, bro. When you go to bed you go sleepy pie, I'm still grinding. And when you get up and you're still tucked in, all sweet and comfy, I'm already up getting after it. And when you're doubting yourself, I'm working on me because I know how incapable I am on my own. That's why my faith's so important. And so it just came down to like, the truth is this way I've been doing it in baseball doesn't work. I can't fake it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't fake it. I got to get real. And maybe because I do lack confidence, I know I got to work harder. I got to prepare more.
Yeah.
I have 2 podcasts tomorrow that I'm doing. Bro, I'll spend hours preparing for each one of them. And the reason is my insecurity. My insecurity. It's like, I don't know if I'm the best interviewer in the world, so I'm going to out-prepare the guy who's better than me or the lady who's better than me. And so I can honestly say I'm proud of what I've accomplished in business because I know it's connected to hard work, and I know it's been connected to my faith, and I know it's been connected to me really getting real about my lack of confidence and my belief in myself. And to this day, the number one thing I still have to work on is my belief in me.
Wow.
It's still that. It's still my self-confidence.
You know what's crazy is, so, I mean, you said so many things that were amazing, and I definitely want to touch on faith here as we get into the episode. But for me, you know, I was raised being the best. And so like from a young age, my parents always told me, you can do whatever you want. Like they were never like a lot of parents you see where it's like, get a stable thing and, you know, set realistic expectations. They're like, literally, why don't you be in the Hall of Fame? Like do it.
I love it.
And I just believed it, you know, from a very young age. And so as I progressed through high school, you know, varsity as a freshman, starting shortstop, it just was like, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And by the time I got to college, you know, my mindset was always like, yo, I'm just going to keep being the best. And I'll tell you, even though like I had hyper internal confidence, there was still always like, you know, you have a bad game, you have a bad week, you know, you're like, did I lose it? Like what? Like it was such a slippery slope of confidence. And, you know, every step of the way you keep leveling up, you realize like, wow, there's some real dudes here. You know, in college, we would face, you know, they'd be telling you like, this guy's going to go in the first round. You're like, dude, this guy ain't no joke.
Yep.
And then, you know, I was fortunate enough to get drafted. And so, you know, I remember going to my first season, 21 years old, and all of a sudden I got Dominicans, Venezuelans, every first rounder, every best player in their high school, every best player in their college. And I'm like, dang, okay. Like,
you know what's good about that though?
Yeah.
That's business.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. You can do okay where you're at right now, but when you get to the top, you're playing against some killers, man.
Yeah.
I got into self-help, personal development, entrepreneurship. I'm playing against some killers, man.
Yeah.
These guys are killers. They're working hard. This guy's like whoever that you've had on your show before, right? These Cardones, these whoever's, these Hermos, these dudes are killers.
Yep.
You got to be good, man. You got to be good. I'm a killer. You're going to compete against me?
Yep.
You better bring a sandwich, bro. You better pack a lunch, right? Because, and I learned that in baseball. And what happened when I got to that level in baseball, I'm like, I don't know if I'm a killer like these dudes, right? When I got here, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
I know what I know. I know what I've done. I know what I believe in. And I'm going to keep growing and getting better. And when they slow down, they flinch, they get weak, they get tired, they go take 2 weeks in Europe, I'm keep coming.
Yeah.
I'm like a dripping faucet, dude. I just keep going. And over time, that serves me really, really well. In fact, it fires me up even talking. Like I'm getting pumped telling you.
Yeah.
Because I want to be somebody so badly. That's not left me as I became somebody. When most people get a little bit of being somebody, they lose that wanting to be the next somebody. That's why, like, you see a guy win a championship belt in boxing. Great. Can you repeat? Can you repeat 8 times? Can you repeat 12 times? And for me, it's like, man, I'm addicted to this expansion thing. And I want it bad. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm like I am. I'm just this way. Yeah. I just accepted me, man. I want to be somebody so badly, even at this stage of my life. I'm excited to meet me at 55. Yeah. I wonder who the heck I'll be at 55. I know it won't be the dude I'm right now at 52. That's for damn sure. And I keep a lot of friends who's the same dude he was 5 years ago. Yeah. Telling the same stories about the same jokes and the same stuff. I want somebody who's challenging me, pushing me, growing me, expanding me, and I see them doing it in their own life. There's motivational people, they're cool. There's inspirational people, that's the next level. They get you inspired, that's to be in spirit. I love those people. But my favorite people are aspirational. These are people I aspire to be like. I aspire when I'm around them to be more like them. I try to be all three. I want to be a motivation, play to your motives, right? I want to be inspiring, but I also want to be aspirational that hopefully when someone's around me, they're like, there's pieces of this dude. Yeah. Pieces of him, not all of them, that I aspire to be more like. Yeah. To me now, man, now I'm a good friend. Now I'm a good mentor. Now I'm a good role model and a leader.
No, I love that because I was talking to, we had lunch right before we came, and my partner Brian was over there asking me, he goes, hey, so, I mean, what's your goal? Like, what motivates you at this point? And I always have a tough time answering that because I'm so curious and so open to whatever the world wants to present me as an opportunity where I'm like, I don't have like this defined tunnel vision of like this one thing I'm gonna do for the next 20 years. Like I'm open to whatever God's calling me to do. But what I did say was, I am super motivated to be the best. So if I'm going to do it, I want to be the best. If I'm going to do podcasting, let's be the best. There's no point to do it if you're not.
That's right.
That's how I just perceive everything. If I'm going to go start a media company or do this, then we're just going to be the best. There's no other, there's no in between.
And what's important about doing that, I tell my son this all the time in golf, that you need to stop thinking like everybody else. Like literally everybody else. So before we started, we were talking about different people in the space. I'm like, to be honest with you, man, I don't know. I don't do a lot of that. No disrespect to anybody else. I want to think like me. Yeah. I want to have my own elevated thinking. So I don't consume a ton of content. There's 2 or 3 people that I'll watch. And because I don't want to think like everybody else, because then I'm going to get what everybody else gets. I want to think like my elite self, my best self. And I'm watching you. You said something about what God's going to call you to do. I just want you to know, like, when you said it, I just say back to you, like, I think there's callings way beyond this for you. I just confirm it. Like something hit me when you said it. I'm supposed to say it. That's the Holy Spirit in my life. I'm supposed to tell you that. And I'm open to it too. Like I'm fascinated by what God wants to use and do in my life, use me for and do in my life. And so I have very specific outcomes, but I'm open and surrender to his will as well. Yeah. Thy will be done, not mine. Yeah. And so I think sometimes God laughs at our plans. He goes, that's hilarious. You have no idea there's a hurricane coming in your life, metaphorically or literally. Yeah. There's supposed to be a hurricane here. Right. There's literally in SoCal. Right. Which we all batten down the hatches. It never happened. But so I have specific outcomes, but I'm also open to where God wants to take me in my life. Yeah. You know, when you read the Bible, it's funny because there's verses where it talks about how, the rich men create all these plans and everything else. And it's just, it's foolish because at the end of the day, God can change them in an instant. He does, but at the same time, he wants us to have a sense of direction. Right. He wants us to be prayerful about that direction. He wants us to have God. This is my opinion, by the way. I'm speaking like I know, but this is my opinion. I don't know, but my opinion is that. But at the same time, I've had enough. Some of the greatest blessings in my life have been doors closed, not open. That they've been things I thought I really, really, really wanted, and then they didn't happen. I thought, what a tragic loss this was that it didn't take place. And those were absolute protection for me. Some of those doors opened up other ones. I'm like, oh, I never even thought about walking through that one. Thank you, Lord. I'll step in here with some faith, but also the work. Like faith without works is dead. James. So I'm stepping in there, planting seeds. One of my favorite parables in the Bible is the parable of the sower. And use it like everybody else uses it. I'm allowed to take my own meaning from it.
Yeah.
But my version of it is that you can plant all these seeds, and in your life, that's the work that we put in, and the dreams and the hopes and the plans. Birds are going to get some of it. The wind's going to get some of it. The weather's going to get some of it. But at some point, if you plant enough seeds in your life, that there becomes a harvest.
Yes.
And I know there's a harvest. I just don't know which version of it he has in store for me. So my job's to plant the seeds. My job's to do the work. My job's to care. My job's to improve and grow and grind. And then I'll let him take care of the harvest, whatever that looks like.
Yep. Could be on this earth, could be
That's
later
right.
on down the road.
Amen.
So let's talk about your faith journey. You know,
Okay.
one thing that we were talking about pre-show was, you know, there's not a lot of entrepreneurs on social media that are really public about faith. There's a lot of great Christian business owners, you know, worldwide, you know, Chick-fil-A's and all these things, but they don't have influence on social media. So I've noticed for you, you've started to become more open with your faith, as have I. What's led to that?
More comfortable with myself. Used to be hesitant because I'm such a zoo, right? I'm sinner saved by the grace of God.
Yeah.
So I used to think, well, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I probably should just shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And I realized that we all are, and that I got to give myself some grace. And it also, like, what a liar I would be to get this far in my life and to say, I have all the answers for you. Here's my technique. Here's my strategy. Here's how I speak. Here's how I communicate. Here's how I market. Here's how I scale, and leave out the main thing.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be honest. And so I reached the conclusion in my life, I'm a hard-working dude. I'm a pretty talented dude. I'm pretty good, but I ain't this good. There's some force blessing me. There's something greater than me that's got their hand on my life. And for me, that's Jesus Christ. And that's the Holy Spirit's guided me.
Yep.
My faith gives me more than anything comfort and safety. And a guy that worries like me, I need that.
Yeah.
And I pray on my knees every night. I do it on my knees. I was raised Catholic. That's one reason. But one of the reasons that I pray on my knees is it reminds me of how small I am. And usually what I always do is I just literally turn over my cares, my concerns to the Lord. I just give it to him. And I just get up the next day and do the work. And so I also try to be, when I'm talking about my faith, it was the hardest chapter in my book to write because I believe in energy. I believe in the quantum field. I just believe there's a almighty God that created it.
Yep.
So I know we're having a vibrational frequency right now. The reason we like each other, we both vibrated a similar frequency, right? So you feel energy, and you know that that's true. I also don't want to shove it in someone's throat where it's repelling, or for them to think I know something you don't know. A lot of religious people have that judgment or that assessment, like, I know some stuff. My God's the real God. You got the fake one.
Well, even Christians.
Yeah, Christians do it all the time. It's who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Every person of faith does it.
Yeah.
I don't want any of that.
Well, I'm saying even denominationally.
Oh yeah, that's not the real doctrine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have a Lutheran dude tell you that the Catholic doctrine's wrong, or the Catholic dude, the Methodist, or whatever. People say, I go to a Bible-based church. Okay, what exactly does that mean? Right? I think most churches think they're Bible-based. So whatever, all that stuff. The bottom line is that in my life, what I would challenge somebody to do is just pursue. There's a part of your heart that wants to know why you're here. There's a part of your spirit that's like, does this matter? Do I matter? Is there a purpose to this life? Here's all I would say to you. Pursue that question. Try to answer it. I can tell you my answer has been my Christian faith. You're entitled to your own answer.
Yep.
And so I just really pursue people to pursue that question. It's the question going on in the back of your mind all the time and in your heart that's whispering to you, whether you're aware of it or not, and you know I'm right.
Yeah.
And so all I would say is, like, pursue it.
Yeah.
Your version of it. I can only share with you what my conclusions have become. And one thing that Erwin McManus said to me about his Christian walk is he said, all the other faiths I studied were about what I needed to do to get to God. And that was great. And he said, in my Christian faith, it was all about what Jesus did to get to me. And it hit me I'm sitting right where you're sitting, and he was sitting right where I'm sitting when he said it. And I will never forget it when he said that. And it made an impact on me. And so just pursue that question and try to find your own answer. I found mine. I hope you find yours.
Yeah. I always tell people, I've said it on the show a few times, like, as business owners, you know, we're trying to create plans, like you said. And whenever you're creating a plan, you always think with the end in mind, and you reverse engineer. And I go, well, what's the number one guarantee of life? You know, there's not any guarantee that you're going to be healthy or you're going to make money or you're going to have a good family. The only guarantee is you die. That is the one guarantee. And so knowing that, and knowing that you're dead way longer than you're alive, the number one question you need to answer is what happens after.
That's right.
And if people don't think about that, which I get it, it's hard to think about, you're inevitably already creating a plan and a life that is destined to fail because you're not solving for the most important question.
Yeah. By the way, most people act like they're never going to die.
Yeah.
Hilarious. It's like, you know, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Why don't you just face it? And by the way, I think about death a lot. And what I find is it's liberating. It makes me be fully present now, because if you're going to live forever, what's today matter?
Right.
But if you're on a limited time ride, then today is really precious and it's blessed. I'll tell you a secret. I've only said this once in public. When my dad died, I was with him. Literally with my father when he took his last breath. And after he passed away, my mom wasn't really comfortable being in the room with his body, and neither were my sisters. And so I was in the room maybe like an hour and a half with my dad after he had passed away, waiting for the hearse to arrive. And it dawned on me that when I was there with my dad, I was there with my dad, it wasn't my dad anymore. Who my dad was gone. His body was still there, but it was very clear to me that my father was gone. First time since I've been alive, my dad was gone. And so what's that mean? It means my dad's not his body, because his body was still there. It means you're not your body. My dad's awards were right up on the shelf. That wasn't my dad. We were in my dad's house. So his accumulations weren't my dad. So then who is he? And who are you? You're a soul. You're a spirit. My dad had left, and I know he's in heaven. And so it was profound for me. It was the most defining moment of my life, because I went, I'm not my accumulations. I'm not my houses. I'm not my awards. I'm not my accolades. Who am I? I'm a spirit. I'm a man. I'm a soul. I'm an energy. I'm a force. And for me, I'm a child of God. And so I want to accumulate things. I want to achieve things, because I was put here to make a difference. So were you. I want to see God's power in my life and what I can achieve and where I can go and what I can experience, to your point. But at the end of the day, you can't take it with you, but you can leave it here. What did my dad leave here? He left me. He left his children. He left his beautiful wife. He left the thousands of people that he helped get sober once he got sober. So you leave something here. So what I would focus on in your life is that you are a soul and your spirit. You can't take all these things with you, but what do you want to leave here? And my dad lived a beautiful life. He left something incredible here. He didn't leave his mistakes when he was young. He left his achievements and his accomplishments, which was his children and the millions of thousands of people in my dad's case that he helped. And so you can leave something here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough for people to think about. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. Because at the end of the day, I think we try to just do all these things to pass time.
We do.
And like forget about what's actually coming. And, you know, like I said, for anybody out there, it's like, that's the most important question to solve for.
It is. And by the way, let me be really clear. You can do both.
Yeah.
You can kick ass and go to Cabo and drink some tequila, and you can fly on a private jet. He made this beautiful ocean. I might as well sit next to it, right? So you can have all of that stuff. At the same time, it's not what you're going to leave here. So what do you want to leave here, and who are you really? And the truth is, one feeds the other.
Yeah.
That's what I said earlier. One feeds the other. So this isn't one of these, none of this stuff matters. You bet your ass it matters. You were put here to see what you're capable of. You were put here to make a difference.
Yeah.
You were put here to change the way your family, look, I say this all the time. You've heard me say this. In every family, if you meet a rich family, and I got a rich family now, but I don't come from one. When you see a really rich family or a really happy family, just remember this. Somewhere back in their lineage, they weren't rich. Or they weren't happy. Until one thing happens. The one shows up. The one in every family. If you see a rich family, eventually there's one person who changed it. You see a happy family, one person changed it. In my freaking family, I'm the one. I'm the one in this family. I'm the one. I took all the late nights, all the hits, all the stress, all the worry. I'm the one who grew. I'm the one who went to the events. I'm the one who read the books. I'm the one who did the meeting after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting, after the meeting. I'm the one who did all that stuff. I'm the one who worked on myself. I'm the one in my family. And now, you know what? I do have a rich family, and I do have a happy family. And if you're listening to this, maybe you were born to be the one. Maybe the whole reason you're here is what you're going to leave behind is a totally different lineage in your family. Totally different lineage where you were the one that everyone looks back on someday and goes, that was my uncle so-and-so. That was my grandfather. That was my grandmother. She changed our family forever.
Yep.
And maybe that's why you were here. I know in my case, that's why I'm here.
You got me fired up.
It's true.
To go make more people the one.
Yes.
And I know you talked about it in your book too, a lot. The book is The Power of One More.
The Power of One More.
Yep. So go check it out on Amazon, guys.
Yep.
So the way you became the one was, you know, baseball didn't work out. You get into this insurance business.
Yes.
What led you there? How did that play out?
Totally by fluke. You know what I found out in your life before I answer you? Most of the dreams in your life will show up in packages and look a way that you never pictured them. Even if you picture like whoever if you're married right now, you love them. They probably make you feel like you hoped, but they might not look exactly like the one that you dreamed up. If you'd have told me when I was in college playing baseball that I would end up in the damn insurance business, are you out of your mind?
You're like,
I don't like
dude.
insurance. I'm not good at math. I never wanted to be in sales. In fact, here's how stupid I am. I was the life insurance business. Now, I'm not kidding you. When they recruited me, I did not know there was such a thing. I thought the only insurance you had was auto. So I thought it was auto insurance. I did not even know. What happened was my best friend growing up, Jason Adams, his dad had left his career at J.C. Penney's as a store manager and had got into this business. And part of that business is you recruit people. And his dad had invited my dad to come take a look at that business like 5 years before. My dad came back and went, oh gosh, total scam, lame, not a real business, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I get called, but I don't tell my dad I'm going. I don't know my dad had gone. So I go down to the meeting and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. It's competitive. It helps people. And I come back, my dad goes, oh, come on. Are you crazy? You got a college degree. You didn't go to college all those years to do this crap. I said, I think I did, Dad. I think I did. And so I really got into the business, truthfully, because I had nothing else to do. I was working at a group home, orphanage, and I loved what I was doing. I thought, I'm going to work at this orphanage the rest of my life. My dad had come home from an AA meeting. He got sober and got me a job at an orphanage. And I loved working with these young boys. They reminded me as a kid of what my childhood was like. But at the time, I'm old, man. I was making $5.60 an hour with my college degree. And I'm like, Dad, I think I could work at the orphanage forever and build this insurance business on the side. I don't have to quit my job. And it turned into something that obviously was much bigger than that and ended up being an 8-figure income for me. So
wow.
Yeah.
So how many years were you in the insurance biz just building everything out?
I don't think I'm not in it. I mean, I still consult and I still, do a little bit, but that's a good question. It took me 10 years to really build something of any real magnitude. And I would say that I was fully involved, fully engaged with really laser focused on it for 15 to 20 years. And I love every aspect of it. I love the helping people. I love the recruiting process. I love the sales process. I loved the rejection. It's where I learned to do public speaking.
Yep.
So all of it was something that I really enjoyed doing. I could tell you that I don't believe I would be sitting here today without it.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I never knew insurance was so lucrative. And then all of a sudden, as I got into this entrepreneur game, I started like seeing guys like you and Patrick Bet-David. I'm like, how did they make their money? Like, I don't even know what they talk about all these concepts. But what was their business? And then I learned it was insurance. And I was like, holy crap. Like, really?
I do think that you're right that, a lot of my wealthiest friends made their money in real estate or insurance or both. And so real estate is the sexy one to talk about online. Everybody likes to talk about that. Insurance, it's still got this, oh, dude, insurance, really? But the truth of the matter is there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money in that industry. I think somewhere recently it was ranked as the #1 industry to build wealth in, I think. And so there's a need in it. There's a growing need. That industry, by the way, is very old. So more and more young people getting involved is good for the industry. I think I read the other day, the average agent is like 61 years old.
Wow.
And so there's a real opportunity for young people in that business. And it's something that people should explore or look at least. I mean, you should know all your options. How do people get rich? You get rich in real estate. You can get rich in lots of businesses, but one of them certainly is insurance, no question.
Yeah. So would you say you were making all your active income from insurance and you just started buying real estate as that kept going?
Yeah, and then I started doing other businesses too. But yes, it's a great cash flow machine because insurance can pay you up front. It also pays you renewal income. You can build a team, which means you can get override income if you do that. So there's a lot of elements to insurance that are attractive. The biggest thing in insurance is just doing it ethically.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ways as an agent to take advantage of people unbeknownst to them.
Yeah.
But if you're going to last long term in any business, you better operate ethically and morally to the best of your ability, because eventually people figure out, you're not having their best interest in mind. So one of the things I am proud of is I've been in business, the different businesses I've had for decades and decades and decades. And by and large, I feel really good about how I've treated other people. And, look, you do anything for 30 years, there's things you wish you take back that you said or did.
Yeah.
Probably a lot in my case.
Yeah.
Especially when I was young.
Yeah.
But I know what my intent was.
Yeah.
I know what my heart was in any business I've ever had. So I feel good about that. And yeah, the insurance business is, I don't get asked about it a lot because I've built so many other businesses since.
Yeah.
And I've been able to build wealth in other businesses. But if you take that business away,
the other stuff doesn't happen.
I doubt I'm not sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, this is something I've struggled with is, when you go through a regret or a failed business or something and people are pissed at you and all these things, especially too, when you're talking about faith and people immediately, you have a target on your back. How do you deal with all that?
Man, regret's hard for me. I never want to hurt other people. And I have, you know what I mean? Like, you hit on the sensitive area for me. By the way, great interview.
Thank you.
I'm the type of person that it doesn't seem like it because I got some muscles and I'm intense and I can raise my voice. But like, if I've done something where I've like hurt you or we're in strife, it just bugs me to a level that I can't even express to you. And it debilitates me. And I almost have to fix it. So what I've always focused on, I met Wayne Dyer when I was young. Do you know who Wayne is?
No.
Okay. Wayne Dyer is one of the godfathers of personal development thought leaders. So there was Tony Robbins, who everybody knows.
Yep.
But right there for a long time was Wayne Dyer. He had more of like a spiritual approach. But I was on my first incentive trip for the insurance business.
Okay.
We won a trip to Maui at the Ritz-Carlton, and I was broke. I didn't have enough money to even eat at this Ritz-Carlton. I remember it. But back in those days, no one worked out. I was like the only dude who worked out. So like back then, like now every entrepreneur is fit, but back then I was like one of the only ones. So I went up for a run early in the morning. It was like 5 a.m. in the fog. I'm wearing a Sony Walkman. That's how old I am. And as I'm running back to the hotel, this other dude's running towards me. Bald dude, hairy back. And I'm like, the last thing I want to do is bump this sweaty dude on the beach. As he gets closer, it's Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
One of my heroes.
Yeah.
It'd be like you running into whoever, me or Grant or whatever, whoever hero is. And he runs by. I go, Dr. Dyer. And he pulls his Walkman off. And I go, you changed my life. And he goes, I doubt that. But how did I help you? And he walks towards me and we end up sitting on the beach together. And I watched the sun come up with one of my heroes for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
It's amazing. At the end of that conversation, we became lifelong friends. At the end of that conversation, he said, Ed, he had a deep voice like mine. I loved Wayne's voice. He goes, I think you're going to change the world. And it's not just this, what you're doing right now. There's bigger and better for you. And he goes, and it's not because of how brilliant you are, and it's not because of your unbelievable ability to communicate. He goes, would you do me a favor? I said, yes, sir. He said, never attach your self-worth to your ability. I went, I thought that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. He goes, oh, you'll always be chasing that tail. He goes, Ed, you're going to change the world because of your incredible intentions. You have an incredible heart combined with your ability. He goes, but man, always attach your confidence to your intentions because you're always going to intend to do right. I know that about you. And he became my mentor for a very long time. So when I have made a mistake, I always go back to my intent.
Yeah.
I've always been a pretty good kid, a good man. So if I make a mistake, I'll literally say, forgive me. I'm very sorry. It wasn't my intentions. I don't want to ever hurt you. I didn't mean to mislead you or screw you or whatever I did here. Please forgive me. I'll make better next time.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I wish in our society, especially in politics, more politicians said, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. My intentions were right. I just called the wrong shot here. I'll get it better next time. I wish more CEOs and business leaders said, hey guys, I lost my temper there, or I made the wrong decision. my bad. My intentions were right, but I'm going to get it better next time. Man, I'd follow you through a fire if someone was like that. So when I have made mistakes, I've tried to focus on my intent and remind myself of my intentions. By the way, he was writing a book at that time called The Power of Intention. So it was on his mind. But my confidence, like before I speak, it's not, I'm the best speaker in the world, even if I might be.
Yeah.
Right? It's my intention with the crowd. My intention is to serve. My intention is to make a difference. And it gives me tremendous confidence as opposed to, I'm this amazing speaker. It's more my intent. So I'm a big believer of everyone listening to this starting to focus more on your intent for confidence and your intent when you have regret or make a mistake.
That's actually my one word for the year, intentionality.
Are you serious?
Yep. Just because up to this point, I've kind of just, I don't want to say I'm the opposite of you. Like I kind of just show up and I rely on talent to get things done.
You do.
And it's worked out pretty good.
Yep.
But I know that to reach the next level, I have to be more intentional with preparation, with decision making, with planning.
Yep.
And
can I give you some feedback?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep this in the show because it's really true.
Okay.
As I've been watching you today, I'm like, this is a real raw, talented man because I know you didn't do a lot of it. Now you've prepped because you followed me and know me. You, with a little bit more intentional focus and preparation, you're going to be a monster. You're going to be a killer in this space because I have it too. I can just roll it out, bro. I can walk up into a talk and I'm going to blow most people off the stage just like that. Just with my ability to do it and my experience doing it. But I have a higher calling than that. My calling is to be the GOAT at whatever I do. And I mean, more than anything, it's the GOAT of me. I want to be the greatest of all time Ed Mylett right now. I want this guy right here sitting here to be the best Ed Mylett that's ever showed up before. That best Ed Mylett, I'm pretty confident is better than what anybody else is going to do, right? But even if it's not, I can control that. And so I owe me my preparation. I owe me that. And you are a massive talent. Like I told you before, I said, if you, off camera, what I say, you always been like this?
yeah,
You always been this good of a communicator? You always been this talented? I don't say that to everybody. Like you have the goods. I mean, you know that. You're already very successful. You have a real high degree of humility, by the way, which I love about you for someone who's accomplished a lot. Your house isn't 10% of mine, like you said earlier. I'm sure it's much more than that. You've done an awful lot, man. And so it's now that next level for you is like, I'm going to out-prepare everybody in whatever I do. And then, bro, no one can touch you.
No, I appreciate the feedback. You've given me a lot of confirmation this interview.
Good.
Just with things we were talking about with faith, with preparation, with, what happens next to get to the next stage. And
that next stage is rarefied air, bro. You're against the killers.
Yeah.
To get to where you are, you can get way on talent.
Yeah.
At anything in business. You get to, listen, you take a look at, I just had Dan Hurley on, the coach of UConn basketball, national champs. He's on my show. He's like, bro, I'm up against killers. I mean, you think about the guys all time, the Woodens, the Krzyzewskis, the Dean Smiths, like, talking about killers, man. You get my fighters that I work with, that, the UFC guys I work with. At that level, a Michael Chandler, man, he's a friend of mine. He's in against killers, man. He's in against Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira. Like, these dudes are killers at every level in business. Man, I'm up against, I'm at that, whatever I'm worth, 500 million, whatever the heck it is I'm worth. I don't even know, right? But I'm up against some killers, bro. You want to get to $1 billion net worth or whatever it is? Like, dude, you can't wing it.
Yeah.
I can't wing this. I have millions of people who follow me. They're depending on me to be not winging anything, to really be growing, really be researching, really. I got a family depending on me, man. I'm the example to my whole family. They're not going to get a 97% version of me. They're going to see me grow and improve. And man, I get so frustrated with people who don't grow and improve. It's like never in the history of the world has there been more information, more access to people. Back in the day, if I find a dude worth 500 million who would tell me what to do, are you kidding me? You couldn't find this dude.
Yeah.
He lived behind a gate somewhere, bro, with like a massive security team. I'm on Instagram every day. I got a podcast that comes out twice a week. Like, bro, come on. Like, the hardest thing in this space is how to discern between who's legit and who isn't. That's the tough one, man. Like, how do you know? Everyone sounds right. Everyone's got the same camera crew and the same curated videos. How do you know? And one of the ways you know, come to their house. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Come to their house. Like the events that Andy Frisella and I do.
Yeah.
Some of these dudes are like rented houses. We come to our own houses, man. Like I live here.
Yeah.
There's no mortgage on this place. You come to my house. There's no
that.
mortgage. Right?
Yeah.
Like my plane, there's no payment. Like, hello, when I had my plane. Like you have to actually break it down. And it doesn't mean, by the way, it doesn't mean that someone who hasn't accomplished something doesn't have value. They have value.
Yeah.
But certainly someone who's done it has probably more value.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to get fit, I don't want my trainer to be 80 pounds overweight, telling me to do stuff he's never done before.
Right.
I want to look at this dude and go, I want to be aspirational to be like this dude. And in business and entrepreneurship, I think you kind of would follow someone who's real.
Yeah.
And that's, you could do a little extra digging, but to me, it's one of the hard parts of this day. The best part of this day and age, you get access to everybody.
Right.
Hard part is I can't listen to 80 different people. Who do I listen to? And you got to pick 2 or 3 and listen to them.
Yeah. You know, one thing I was telling the team before we came up was 100% better preparation, understanding and preparing for episodes is the first thing. Second thing, and I told them, and I'd love to hear your feedback, was I go, you know what though? At the end of the day, to really grow to the next level, I just have to get better at business. Like the more my business and my own credibility and status elevates, the more people will listen.
Nailed it. That's correct. And by the way, I think you're doing well. I don't want to do this about you, but there at some point, it's pretty easy just to go, see what I did? See what I did? See what I did? To me, that makes building a following much easier than the monkey show.
Just getting good at talking or hooks or all that stuff.
I mean, you talking and all that stuff, bro, come on, you're outstanding. And you also, I asked you before we started, I was vetting you, and maybe people don't know this. Tell me about your businesses.
Yeah.
Didn't I ask you that?
Yep.
I'm acting like I'm just being casual. I'm not being casual. I'm like, what's this kid got?
Yeah.
What's he got? And you told me about the different businesses that you have and how you've scaled them, and one of them you're acquiring and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, this dude's got a lot of things he's doing. One thing I like about that is you're not just going to be a one-trick pony, which is just real estate or just coaching or just podcasting. By the way, and one thing on podcasting too, there needs a free flow like this too. I prepare, but then I let the conversation go where it's supposed to go, because the best ones are like, I didn't think we were going to go there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to control too much, but I want to know enough when I'm preparing, like you do about me, you know plenty, that it can flow where I think the best places are though.
Yeah. The way I look at it, it's kind of like, you know, you go into a game, a baseball game. You know what the pitcher throws, you know about, but come game time.
That's right. You got to react.
Yeah. Whatever happens.
That's right. You don't know what he's going to, I mean, the bottom line is if it's 2-2, you don't get to choose, man. If it's a slider low and in and it's over the plate, you got to swing.
Yeah.
So there's an element of just reacting and preparing. But by the way, you prepared with batting practice, you prepared with your stretching, you prepared with your weightlifting. So there's other forms of preparation for letting it go.
Right. So what would you say about many different businesses? Because we talk, you know, I told you I got a lot going on. You started many other businesses outside of insurance, and a lot of people have told me, hey, focus on one thing.
Yep.
You should just be a real estate guy.
Well, in general, my general belief, and I think you already did this, but my general belief is to make your first few million, you should probably do it in one business and get really good at it.
Yeah.
And the reason I believe that is that you're competing against people in your industry who that is their only business.
Right.
So if you're part-time at something and I'm full-time at something, I'm probably going to kick your ass.
Right.
So I do think to get a few $1 million under your belt, you should crush one business like I did in the insurance business. Once you're there, then you can choose. The truth is, had I never left the insurance business, I may actually be as wealthy as I am now, because that business is scalable to massive wealth, right? But a lot of you are in businesses that aren't scalable past a certain threshold. And if that's true for you, then you do need to diversify your income into multiple streams. But this notion that millionaires have multiple streams of income is a fact that's not true. It's a fact that they have multiple streams of income, but it's not true that they became millionaires that way.
Right.
Most millionaires made their first million in one business and then have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you've done. You've already got your first million under your belt, millions. Yep. Now you're diversifying.
Yeah. And I just, to your point, I realized, okay, flipping houses may be my first few millions.
Yes.
And I'm like,
it's not scalable to 300 million.
Yeah. I'm like, this is it.
Right.
What else can you do beyond this?
Correct. And that's the thing you have to ask yourself. How scalable is your business? The one thing on insurance is you can scale that to hundreds of millions.
What do you think about insurance with that? You joined a company, right?
Yep.
And a lot of us, myself included, like when I was a realtor, people were like, join EXP, build a team and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to build someone else's thing.
Yep.
I don't, like control that. Like, what if they take it away tomorrow? I don't own the business.
Okay, so you have to join something where you do have some version of ownership.
Okay.
So in mine, I did own what they call our code number. So my actual business, I had control over. That's a really good point. I didn't join like a traditional agency where I was building someone else's agency. Although I was building their agency, I had my code number. And that's, by the way, why I've been able to have different exits and different things as well. So I do agree with what you just said. I think there has to be a version where you own at least what you're building. So I totally agree with that. I had that to the extent that I needed it. I don't think that you're going to get very wealthy building another person's dream.
Yeah.
Having said that, the reason I think getting involved in organizations that give you a hybrid, which is you have control of ownership over what you have, but you're also involved in something bigger, is really good.
Yeah.
Because it gives you an environment to build in. It gives you mentors. It gives you direction. It gives you credibility. It gives you momentum. You know, when I was 21 years old, if I walked in with Ed Mylett insurance, are you going to buy life insurance from
like,
me?
what is this?
What's this kid know, right? Like, well, I'm going to buy insurance from a 21-year-old. So the credibility of the overall organization matters. The mentorship and the environments that you find yourself in, but you better find something that also has an element of ownership as well. Otherwise, you're doing exactly what you described.
Yeah.
So it's a misnomer that I joined something that I didn't have ownership in. I did.
Yeah, I remember I was listening to Gary Vee say something where he was like, you know, in your 20s, you're just like trying things, trying to figure out who you are. Your 30s, you know, you kind of figured it out, and now you're like building and grinding. And then your 40s are like where you really hit your prime and start making the real wealth. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. I mean, I think it's okay if you're a decade behind. And if people want to take advantage of my mistakes and wisdom here, they could do it a decade earlier.
Yeah.
I'd say that's about right. I'd say probably around 40. Guess my kids were hitting that age where they were, you know, grown little people. And I started to, just reflect a little bit on who am I? You know, and how do I want to treat people?
Yeah.
And you know, listen, I think I treat people pretty well.
Yeah.
But I was always intentioned to be good, but a little bit more patience, a little bit more discernment, a little less arrogance, a little more humility, you know, and then over time thinking, well, this is more me. I like this me better.
It's hard to walk that road of being ultra confident that you're going to go into something and crush it and be a killer. Because that's how I've said it on stage before to our audience. I go, look, if you're not staying in shape and working out, you ain't beating me.
Yep.
You know, if you ain't putting in the work, you're not going to win. If you're not improving and training daily, you're not going to win. And so like, I have that mindset of that. I want to kill like a lot, and I want to dominate, and I want to be the best. And I want everyone to know it too.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have to counteract that with humility.
You seem to have that to me, brother. I mean, my favorite people toe that line. Super confident people with a dose of humility. And I'll tell you why. The people that are confident with no humility, they usually end up burning out, making mistakes, flaming out, and there's a pain in the ass to be around. People with a ton of humility with no confidence, you're dragging them through life all the time, and they drain your energy.
They're soft.
You know, so I'm a little bit of the combination. I try to be a combination of the both. Yeah, you're 100% right. Those are the best humans.
Yeah. So last question, dude. And dude, I appreciate just everything, man. Like
you.
this has been it's been my own one-on-one coaching. So that's how I'm treating it, and I'm ready to go be a killer.
Let's go, baby.
So
be the one.
Yeah. So what's next for you, man? I mean, you already got $500 million net worth. Like obviously the
Don't quote me on that. I don't know. It's a lot though.
It's a lot.
Right.
Multiple 9 figures, right?
That's yes.
I mean, I can count them just on like this beach.
Correct.
9 figures right now. So you can't fake that.
Right.
Like what motivates you at this level? Because you've achieved so much. How do you not get complacent?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. What's next for me is I've got a TV show that I'm starting to shoot right now. I'm going to write another book. I'm not complacent because I'm fascinated by who I could become. I'm fascinated by where the world is. The world's at a real interesting place, bro. With AI coming, I want to be at the center of transformation in the world. I've got a lot of opportunities in my life. I don't know what they necessarily will be. There's, you know, it could be political, it could be more economic stuff, it could be more stuff in my faith.
It seems like all like Patrick, Grant, you, like politics ends up being that next horizon.
Yeah, I don't cover a lot of it in my content. And the reason that I don't, people ask me that too. We're going in a lot of places today that I don't usually go, but I'll say this because I just think there's plenty of people doing it. There's plenty of people giving you their view politically in the world. I'm also a real unique political animal in that I have some very left-leaning beliefs. I was raised in a very liberal home. My grandfather ran a union.
Okay.
And my dad was a bleeding heart liberal. Same time, I'm rich. Right. So I have a lot of conservative beliefs in my life, and I like small government. So I'm very socially, I guess, liberal, progressive in that sense. And yet I'm a person of deep faith.
Yeah.
And then I also believe in small government and capitalism.
Yeah.
But there's enough people handling that stuff for the most part. So I speak up when something really bothers me. I speak up when, and I've spoken up about the governor here. I've spoken up about people on both parties. I am willing to do that when I see something egregious, when the stuff in Afghanistan happened, Ukraine. I've talked about my views on those things, the economy, but there are people that want to spend more of their time doing that than me.
Yeah.
I want to stay more functioning and improving human beings' lives. And I actually believe entrepreneurs are the greatest force for good in the world. And they could, if they collectively started to really make a move, be more powerful than any political party. Entrepreneurs are the innovators. Entrepreneurs are the people that are progressing society. Entrepreneurs are responsible for AI.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are responsible for all the medical upgrades in our lives and all the innovations and travel and space travel. And what's crazy about our times is entrepreneurs are the new celebrities.
Yeah, they are.
You know, whether you look at myself or these other people you've referenced, or the Elon Musks or the Bezoses, and that are at even a different level, they've become, entrepreneurship is now this thing that's like, heck, we have an entrepreneur that was the president.
Yep.
So it's changing, right? So the face of entrepreneurship is a force for good in the world. I want to be at the cutting edge of that. I want to be at the cutting edge of human peak performance and people's success and bliss and achievement in their life. Now, if that means I need to be involved in politics to do that, I will do it, but only if I believe there's a space that no one else can fill. If there's a space no one else can fill in the commentary space, I'll fill it. If someone can't fill it in running for office, maybe I'd fill it. But right now, I'm confident that there are people better than me that can run, and there are people better than me commenting on it.
Yeah.
And I'll let those guys have that, and I will speak up when I need to on things that matter. One thing that frustrates me is when people never speak up because they're afraid to offend.
Yeah.
They're afraid to get canceled. They're afraid they're going to lose some followers. I ain't that guy.
Yeah.
So when something comes up that's egregious one way or the other, I call it out in my view. But I think that my space is with humans. And if that means politics at some point, I'll look at it. I've been asked several times to do different things. I've also prepped different people for debates and whatnot. But I think at this stage of my life, I belong where I am. And I think what's next is just more of what I've been doing on a much more grand scale.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, open up your home to us, coming to speak at WealthCon in October. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to, build our relationship and get to know you better. And, I just love what you're doing, especially when it comes to building the kingdom and using your gifts. And dude, it's been awesome, man.
Big fan of yours, brother. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
We've done that 3 million to 30 million jump 6 times now.
What are the biggest bottlenecks you see to go from 3 to 30?
First off is they're typically missing. You need that in order to get to usually 10 to 15, and then you're gonna need that in order to get to 30.
The more high quality people we place into enterprises where there's a deficit,